With season 4 right around the corner, if you're like me and waited to the last second to rewatch all of the episodes so far, here's a quick recap of what's happened so far in all the seasons. We'll cover the key moments of season 1 through 3, and at the end, we'll break down some big predictions for season 4. Season 1 introduced us to Mark Grayson, a seemingly ordinary 17-year-old who finally developed superpowers inherited from his dad, Nolan Grayson, or better known as Omni-Man. Mark adopts the hero named Invincible and eagerly begins crime fighting, balancing this new life with typical teenage struggles like school and a new friendship with a fellow teen hero called Adam Eve. Under Omni-Man's tough training, Mark faces his first villains. He thwarts the mad scientist D.A. Sinclair and his undead Reaniman, survives a Martian mission against parasitic sequids, and even gets a near-lethal beating from Battle Beast during a clash with the crime lord Machine Head. Each battle hardens Mark and builds his confidence as a hero, setting him on a collision course with his own father. The series' first shocking twist comes at the end of the very first episode. Omni-Man ambushes and brutally murders the Guardians of the Globes, Earth's top superhero team, in a scene that reveals his unfathomable power and secret ruthlessness. Nolan's wife Debbie eventually grows suspicion, and with the help of costume maker Art Rosenbaum, discovers bloodstained evidence of her husband's crime. In the finale, when Mark refuses to join his genocidal mission, Omni-Man tries to force the point in the most horrific way, by using Mark's body to slaughter hundreds of civilians in a runaway train as a demonstration of human fragility. The father-son battle that ensues is incredibly bloody and heart-wrenching. Omni-Man beats Mark within an inch of his life, pulverizing cities and even massacring Chicago's population in the process. Yet, despite Omni-Man's superior strength, he cannot break Mark's spirit. Mark's anguished plea, reminding Nolan of the family moments they shared, finally reaches a sliver of Nolan's humanity. In a moment of conflict and tears, Omni-Man spares his son, uttering,
"Everyone and everything you know will be gone. What will you have after 500 years?
You, Dad. I still have you."
Overwhelmed by emotion, Nolan abandons his post and flies off Earth in exile. In the aftermath, Mark is hospitalized and heartbroken, and the world learns its greatest hero was a fraud and a traitor. The authorities, led by Spymaster Cecil, cover up as much as they can and recruit Mark to fill the void as Earth's new primary defender. Meanwhile, the young teen team graduates into the new Guardians of the Globe, with Robot as the appointed leader. We also learn Robot's big secret. He's actually Rudolph Rudy Connors, a deformed genius who is piloting the robot body separately. Rudy's scheming shows a devious side. After getting his new body, he destroys his original deformed body and has the villainous Mauler twins arrested to tidy up loose ends. By the end of season 1, the new Guardians, including Mark, Adam Eve, Robot, Monster Girl, and a couple more, stand ready to protect Earth. Season 2 picks up with Mark trying to fill in Omni-Man's shoes. Omni-Man is missing, but the fallout of his betrayal is everywhere. Mark struggles under the weight of expectations as Earth's champion, all while dealing with the trauma of his father's actions. Early on, Mark actually reunites briefly with Nolan, not on Earth, but on an alien world of Thraxa. Nolan, it turns out, had crash landed on Thraxa and even started a new life there during his exile. When Mark finds him, he discovers he has a half-brother. Nolan's relationship with a Thraxan woman called Andressa produced a child who possesses Viltrumite strength and ages rapidly due to his mother's species. Mark barely has time for a family reunion before a Viltrumite strike team attacks Thraxa. In the chaos, Nolan helps Mark escape with the baby. Back on Earth, Debbie agrees to raise Mark's purple-skinned half-brother, whose name is Oliver. Oliver's mixed heritage means he grows from an infant to toddler-y kid astonishingly fast, which doesn't escape Cecil's notice. He politely keeps tabs on Oliver's development, trading government protection for updates on the boy's powers. Mark, now a big brother, suddenly has a new family dynamic to juggle. Meanwhile, a fan favorite, Alan is a one-eyed alien hero working for the Coalition of Planets, a league of worlds resisting Viltrumite domination. In season 2, Alan faces a deadly encounter. 3 Viltrumite soldiers ambush him and beat him within an inch of his life. Alan is taken to the Coalition's HQ and put on life support. In a surprising twist, the Coalition leader Thaddeus pulls Alan off of life support on purpose, nearly killing him. Alan survives due to his species biology, and he emerges far more powerful. Essentially, Alan leveled up immensely after surviving such trauma. Thaddeus then reveals another secret. He himself is a Viltrumite defector in disguise, and he recruits Alan for a higher purpose, preparing to take down the Viltrum Empire from within. This alliance sets the stage for a larger interstellar war brewing in the background. On Earth, new Viltrumite agents start arriving, testing Mark's resolve. One such agent is Anissa, a ruthless female Viltrumite who confronts Mark and easily thrashes him in combat. Anissa doesn't kill Invincible, but instead she delivers a message. Convince Earth to join the Viltrum Empire willingly. Mark, bruised but unbowed, refuses to submit. Anissa departs with a chilling warning that the next Viltrumite sent won't be so merciful. Elsewhere, Nolan's journey takes a dramatic turn. After the Thraxan battle, Nolan is captured by his own people for betraying their conquest mission. Brought before Grand Regent Thrag's forces, Nolan is thrown into a high-security Viltrumite prison asteroid and pressured to rejoin the cause. Nolan refuses to pledge allegiance again. Locked away in solitary, Nolan finally has time to reflect on his actions.
I think I miss my wife.
It's a deep moment, the once stone cold warrior admits. By season 2's end, we see Nolan is not entirely forsaken. Alan the alien deliberately gets himself jailed on the same prison asteroid, using a psychic link to tell Nolan he's there to help him break out. The main villain of season 2, however, is neither a Viltrumite nor an alien. It's a multiversal madman called Angstrom Levy. Angstrom starts off with seemingly benign intentions. He wants to use portal powers to gather knowledge from an alternate universe, but an accident during Mark's intervention leaves Angstrom horribly disfigured and very bitter. Blaming Invincible for his condition, Angstrom seeks revenge. This leads to a dimension-hopping showdown in the season 2 finale that is as wild as it sounds. Mark and Angstrom brawl across various realities. During these hops, Angstrom gets glimpses of alternate worlds where Mark had made darker choices. In one especially grim reality, Mark had joined Omni-Man in conquering Earth, killing countless people, even Angstrom's own family, which only fuels Angstrom's hatred even more. Their fight ends in Mark's home dimension, literally inside the Grayson family house. Angstrom ups the stakes by taking Mark's mother Debbie and baby Oliver hostage. In a particularly cruel act, Angstrom breaks Debbie's arm in front of Mark. That sight pushes Mark over the edge. Furious and desperate, Invincible tackles Angstrom through one last portal. They end up stranded on a desolate world with no distraction. Mark's rage boils over and he pummels Angstrom into a bloody paste, killing him in an uncontrollable outburst. This is the first time Mark has ever killed someone, and it's traumatizing for him. As the adrenaline fades, Mark looks at the pulverized remains of Angstrom and is disgusted with himself, whispering,
I lost control. I wanted to kill him.
Unexpectedly, salvation comes in the form of an alternate future version of the Guardians of the Globe. Portal opens and a Guardian team from 20 years in the future finds him. They agree to send Mark home. Before he leaves, the team's leader, an older, battle-hardened Adam Eve, pulls Mark aside. She urges him not to waste time expressing his feelings to his world's Eve, hinting that life is too short for hesitation. Upon returning to his own dimension, a shaken Mark reunites with his mom and Oliver, and breaks down crying in Debbie's arms, confessing his horror at having taken a life. By the end of season 2, Mark and Adam Eve grow closer than ever, setting the stage for a romance that has been simmering since season 1. It's a bittersweet ending. Mark has saved the day, but at a terrible personal cost. Season 3 pushes the stakes even higher. As the looming Viltrumite invasion finally arrives on Earth's doorstep, Mark begins this season deeply shaken by his actions. Having killed Angstrom, he resolves to never cross that line again. In fact, early in season 3, Mark clashes with Cecil over the latter's morally gray tactics. Cecil, ever the pragmatist, had continued to use D.A. Sinclair's undead reanimen as expendable soldiers for Earth's defense. In one confrontation at the GDA headquarters, Cecil unleashes a squad of reanimen to restrain Mark, fearing Mark's Viltrumite temper, destroying every single one in defiance of Cecil's orders. Cecil is shocked by Mark's fury, and the two exchange heated words. Cecil warns Mark that it's his job to protect the planet from all threats. This chilling warning shows that Cecil fears Mark could become like his father. Mark, for his part, is disgusted that Cecil would stoop to tactics like using monster zombies or cutting deals with killers. The rift between Invincible and GDA widens, highlighting a core theme of season 3. He wants to be a hero on his own terms, without becoming a weapon or a tyrant. Despite this internal conflict, Mark doesn't shrink from his duty when real danger arrives. Before long, Viltrumite heavy hitters make their play for Earth. Season 3's climax brings in Conquest, an absolute monster of a Viltrumite warrior. He's essentially Thrag's berserker enforcer, sent to punish Mark for Earth's defiance. This battle in the finale is one of the most brutal animated fights ever put to the screen. It's a city-leveling slugfest that mirrors Mark's fight with Omni-Man. Conquest is older, more experienced, and utterly ruthless. He thrashes Mark across cities, breaking bones and spilling blood. Mark refuses to back down, even as he's bludgeoned, maimed, and even disemboweled during the brawl. The collateral damage is immense, and at one point, Adam Eve joins the fray to help Mark, only to be grievously injured by Conquest's onslaught. Ultimately, through sheer determination and a bit of luck, Mark manages to defeat Conquest. In a desperate final exchange, Invincible goes all out and kills Conquest, finally putting the behemoth down for good. It's a victory, but it comes at a high price. Mark is left battered, almost beyond recognition, and Eve is critically wounded in the fight's aftermath. Thanks to her own powers, Eve survives. She instinctively uses her matter-manipulating abilities to reconstruct her damaged organs, saving herself from death. This near-death experience even unlocks a new facet of Eve's powers, as she discovers she can overcome her previous limits under extreme circumstances. Mark is overjoyed that Eve is alive, and after the battle, the two share a tender, hard-earned moment of intimacy, finally affirming their love for each other. The Viltrumite leader, Thrag, now knows of Conquest's failure, and he sets his sights on Earth. In the final moments of Season 3, we get our first ominous hints of Thrag. He's the mustachioed Viltrumite in charge, and by far the most powerful Viltrumite alive. Omni-Man and Mark were tough. Conquest was tougher, but Thrag is on another level entirely. As Season 3 ends, the Viltrumite war is about to explode into the open. Mark has grown stronger and more mature over these seasons, but the challenges ahead will test him like never before. With our recap done, let's move into some Season 4 predictions. Again, these are going to be speculative, but we'll draw from clues from the comics. No major spoilers, just some logical guesses. If by the off chance I'm right and you'd like to avoid being spoiled, I'd recommend clicking off the video now. but go ahead and leave a like if you're gonna. We'll focus on 4 main areas: Thrag's role, Mark's evolving morality, Eve's possible pregnancy, and Robot's potential villain arc. Season 4 is basically set up to be Thrag's arrival arc, not just stronger conquest, but the Viltrumite leader who turns the looming threat into a full-on war. This show's been escalating Viltrumite power levels on purpose. Nolan to Anissa to conquest, and Thrag is the next logical step. More strategic, more ruthless, and way more dangerous. Expect him to put pressure on Earth directly, likely force Mark and Nolan into uncomfortable cooperation, and make the coalition feel less like side lore and more like the only reason Earth isn't constantly cooked. Even if the season doesn't end with Thrag defeated, it'll probably end with him establishing dominance, either winning a major battle, fracturing Mark's alliances, or forcing Mark into a decision that compromises his morality. Mark's moral line has been getting thinner every season. Season 1 taught him what Viltrumites are, Season 2 forced his first kill, and Season 3 made killing feel like a necessary evil against conquest. Season 4 should push that conflict into the spotlight. Mark wants to be better than Nolan, and better than Cecil's ends justify the means, but war doesn't care about ideals. The more Viltrumites he fights, the more the show can explore whether Mark's no-killing stance is a principle or a luxury, and whether he can protect Earth without becoming something that the planet fears. Thrag is the perfect pressure test because he's the kind of opponent who forces ugly choices. Do you pull punches and lose people, or do you go full Viltrumite and live with what that makes you? The end of Season 3 hints, mainly with Eve's powers glitching after the conquest aftermath and the intimacy beat, are screaming for the pregnancy setup, and Season 4 can use that as emotional stakes and practical conflict. If Eve is pregnant, it changes everything. She may hide it at first to avoid distracting Mark. Powers could become more unstable at the worst possible time, and it gives Mark a new kind of fear. Not just dying, but leaving Eve alone or bringing a child into a war zone. It also raises terrifying strategic stakes. A Viltrumite war leader like Thrag could view a half Viltrumite child as an asset, leverage, or a symbol. Even if the show doesn't go full tragic, the pregnancy angle naturally intensifies Mark's morality arc. He's not just fighting for Earth, he's fighting for a future that he actually wants. And Robot's turn doesn't have to fully happen in Season 4, but the setup can tie in. More logical unilateral decisions and more contingency planning that creeps from prudent to authoritarian. He's already shown he'll do ethically shady things if he believes the outcome is worth it, and the global crisis is the perfect excuse for him to justify crossing lines, especially if Mark is off-world, emotionally compromised, or unreliable in Robot's eyes. If the Viltrumite war destabilizes Earth, Robot's biggest temptation becomes simple: people are safer if I'm in control. So when the darker arc accelerates later, it feels inevitable but not random. If you made it this far, go ahead and leave a like down below. It really does help out a lot. Let me know what you're excited for in Season 4 in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys next time.